Modern basketball cards are boring. I know that might be a controversial statement, but I mean, just look at them. They're boring and they're unimaginative. Okay, I know, I'm an old guy, but I'm really serious about this. I mean, I can't help but feel that the cards from when I was a kid were a lot better than today's cards, and I'm interested to know what you think. I'll show you. I made the foolish decision a while ago to buy a few 1992 full sets. I'm talking about stuff like this fantastic Fleer Ultra set. This Upper Deck set is also simply beautiful. And here's a look at Stadium Club, which might be the best of them all. I mean, maybe this is just the nostalgia speaking, but I really like the high quality photography. I like the focus on in-game action in the pictures. I love the colors. That's all a lot more important to me than whatever this set actually is worth on the secondary market. So what in the world happened? Why do today's cards look like this? Well, first of all, you've got to understand that, relatively speaking, basketball card collecting is kind of a new thing. The first real basketball card set was this one, 1948 Bowman. The cards look amazing to this day and are designed similarly to Bowman's other 1948 cards. And if you ask me, this is how you make a good card. Just give me the photo or the drawing and keep it simple. They even made cards that diagrammed set plays. Of course, 1948 Bowman wasn't really a financially successful set. In fact, it was so unsuccessful that Bowman didn't try it again. It took about another decade for the next big nationwide basketball set to come out. Well, this is 1957 Topps, which is a fantastic set. I'd consider this to actually be one of the best looking sports card sets of all time. And if you pay attention, the designs are pretty simple. The focus is on the picture, not on the border or on the graphics. Even the backs look awesome. But you know, that set wasn't really all that successful either. Now, I know that there are other sets from the early days, stuff like 1961 Fleer. Some people really like it. I think those cards are ugly personally. I'm just not a huge fan of that set. So instead, I'm going to show you the next set that really gets me excited. That would be this one, 1969 Topps. We might as well count 1970 Topps as well. Now, these sets were oversized, which means that they're not necessarily all that popular among today's collectors. However, the sets look absolutely fantastic with big pictures and simple designs. And once again, the backs are also quite good. And we can't forget about 1976 Topps, which was also oversized. The photography here is simply awesome. The design is a little bit loud in my opinion, but it certainly could be worse. And that's before the basketball card market basically fell apart. 1980 Topps, one of the sets that you either loved or hated. Yeah, personally, I hate it. 3 cards in one card that you are supposed to like cut apart or whatever, that just doesn't do it for me. Some of these cards are iconic, sure, but personally, I see this as a pretty unimaginative Topps set. And 1981 Topps was even worse. And after that, Topps got out of the basketball card business. Well, the old story, the one that many of us grew up on, is that Magic Johnson and Larry Bird entered the NBA and saved basketball. The truth, however, is that the NBA continued to struggle even after the two of them joined the league in 1979. And for years, there were no basketball cards. We can talk about the star sets if you want, but those weren't sold in packs. Really, the next major set sold in packs was Fleer in 1986. And as you know, that happens to be one of the most famous sets of all time. And of course, that set didn't sell all that well at first. In fact, I can remember a time when you could buy tons of those 1986 Fleer packs. Nobody wanted them. You know, it's really not until Upper Deck came along in 1991 that the basketball card game was really pushed up. In fact, Topps didn't return to basketball cards until 1992, and by then the flagship set was basically the same as the baseball set with a really lazy design. It's nothing like Fleer Ultra, for example. And that's one thing to keep in mind. The tradition of good quality cards that people actually wanted really starts in the early 1990s. But what happened to all this tradition? Why are the modern cards so awful? Well, blame it all on Panini. So Panini was granted an exclusive contract by the NBA in 2009. Look at this, Upper Deck in 2008 came out with an absolutely fantastic set. The photography is incredible and the cards are really well designed. Even the backs look amazing. This is a superb modern set, and it's amazing in retrospect that this was a base set. Well, Upper Deck wasn't alone in 2008, of course, but their set was clearly, at least in my opinion, the best looking and most eye-catching out of all the sets out there. And I would argue that the competition Upper Deck faced from companies like Topps led to those cards being so gorgeous. Unfortunately, though, we're going to be stuck with cards like this for the near future. You might be interested in the parallels and in the one-of sets. Personally, I'm not. Honestly, I would prefer cards that look like this again. And I guess I can only hope for the future. Well, I'll tell you this, the Junk Wax era sets might not really be worth a whole ton of money, but as far as I'm concerned, with cards that look like that, they're worth their weight in gold. As far as the newest sets are concerned, you can keep them.